All right, so we are now moving on to the last section of this chapter, and we're still in chapter 8, section G. This section is going to be broken up into two different videos. All right, so we will have two videos. We will have this video part 1, and then we will have another video part 2, which will be due on a separate day. So you only have to watch part 1 for the first day and part 2 for the second day. And what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be finding the equation of a line. All right, so we're kind of going to use some of the things that we learned in section C, and some of the things we learned in section D, as well as some of the things that we covered and went over in the very first section E in this second part of this chapter. And remember, this is the last test that you will take before the end of your semester. So it is very crucial that you guys are really working hard in order to do well, so that way your grade either stays where it's at, improves where you want it to be, and doesn't fall. All right, so our objectives for this video is going to be to create the equation of a line. So we're going to create something, an equation of a line, when we're given a slope, 2 points, or a graph, or any combination of these. All right, it might be a slope at 1 point, but you're going to be given some information, slope, graphs, y-intercepts, points, and you're going to have to be able to come up with what that equation was. All right, so in our last section, we were going where I gave you an equation, you then had to graph it. Now it's the reverse. You're given a graph or you're given points, and then you're going to have to come up with the equation. All right, so on this video, it's just going to be explaining a few things first, so what you need in order to do this, what you should be looking for, and then just a few examples. All right, so these are the things that you need when creating your equation, because when we create equation, we will always put our equation in slope-intercept form of y is equal to mx plus b. So the two things that we need is, first, we need our slope, and second, we need our y-intercept. And sometimes our slope will just be nice and easy, where it's given to us that your slope is equal to 5. And that's really simple. But then there will also be times where it says, find the equation of a line that passes through the points 1, 5 and -2, 8. So although it's not flat out given to us, we know that we can solve for our slope because it's equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, something we just did in sections C and D. So sometimes it'll be flat out given to us, and sometimes we'll be given 2 points, and we'll have to use our slope formula to determine that slope. All right, so when it's just given to us, it's very simple, where we just go ahead and just say m is equal to 5. But sometimes it'll also be given to us in the form of 2 points. But either way, we will be given enough information for us to determine our slope. And then the next thing that we'll need is we'll need our y-intercept. And our y-intercept, sometimes it'll just be nice and easy, where it's given to us where b is equal to 5. And then the next thing is, it might be just like it was before, where we're given points 1, 5 and -2, 8. And then we will go over what we will do for this, but we will have to start substituting and solving for some of our missing and unknown variables. But this will come back to what we were just doing in section 8E, the very first one that we were doing for the second half of the chapter. But sometimes it'll be nice and easy, where it's given to us where our b is equal to 5, and that's very simple for us. And other times when we're going to go through in detail, when we're given points, how we're going to find our y-intercept from here. All right, so we will go over the different ways that you will be given your intercepts and different ways you'll be given your slopes. But these are the things that you need to solve for. We need to solve for our slope, so our m, and we need to plug that in. And then we need to solve for our y-intercept, our b, and we need to plug that in. All right, those are the two things that we need to solve for every single time. All right, so find the equation of a line with a gradient 5 and y-intercept -3. So remember, the equation that we're always going to solve for is our slope-intercept. We need to solve for what our slope is equal to and what our b or y-intercept is equal to. Well, it flat out tells me that my gradient is 5, so I know my m is equal to 5. And it tells me that my y-intercept is -3, so my b is -3. This is really easy. So now I'm just going to substitute 5 in for m, so it's going to be y is equal to 5x. And then my b is -3, so it'll be -3. So that will be our final answer. Y is equal to 5x minus 3. That is the equation of a line that has a gradient of 5 and a y-intercept of -3. So these are the very easy ones. These would be the ones that you simply are just substituting in. There's really nothing that you need to solve for. It was all given to you. It's not going to be common where it's just going to be flat out given to you, but we're just going through that. These are the letters that you have to solve for. We always need to solve for our slope and our y-intercept. And then at the end, we need to substitute them in. So our answer can't just be this. We can't just say, m is equal to 5 and b is equal to negative 3, that doesn't give us the final answer because we need it as an equation of a line. So it needs to be written in slope-intercept form, y is equal to 5x minus 3. All right, so for this one, we have the equation y is equal to mx plus b. It tells us that we have a gradient of 2 over 3, so I know my slope is equal to 2/3. And then it tells me it passes through the points 3, 1. So I don't know my b as is. That's something that we do not know. However, I know I can write this as y is equal to 2/3 x plus b. And just like we did in section D, if I know I'm trying to create the equation of a line, that means this point has to fall in the line. That means I can then substitute this because I know I have an ordered pair x, y. So just like we were doing in the very first section E of this second half of the chapter, we can say x is equal to 3 and y is equal to 1, and we can substitute it and solve for our missing variable b. So we just substitute it in. 1 is equal to 2/3 times 3, because that's what our x was, plus b. Well, now we know that this 3 divided by 3 is going to cancel out. So 1 is equal to 2 plus b. And to solve for the b, we isolate it, so we subtract 2. So that means b is equal to -1. So I solve for what my slope is, because it gave it to us. And now I know that my b is equal to -1. So your final answer, we have to rewrite it in slope-intercept form. So y is equal to, my slope is 2 over 3, x, and then my b, we just solved for is -1, so it's -1. So this would be our final answer. All right, the problem that I always see is that people don't substitute it back in to write it as an equation. That's one of the things that we see. And then also, when they're doing this, they always want to solve for x and y and not for m and b. So some people will not, they will just write 1 is equal to mx. 1 is equal to m times 3 plus b. And they'll say that this is our equation because they see that x is 3 and y is 1, but that's never what we do. Never. All right, so this will be our final example. So we solve for our slope, solve for a y-intercept, and we substitute it back into the equation. All right, now this is the last question that we'll go through because sometimes it's not going to give you anything except for 2 points it passes through. Sometimes it'll be written like this where it flat out tells you -2, 1, and 3/16. And sometimes it'll be written like this on a graph, and it will tell you that this is the point 3/16 and this is the point -2, 1. So sometimes it'll tell you either through a graph or sometimes it'll just flat out give you the points. All right, but either way, we still need to solve for y is equal to mx plus b. And we still need to solve for our slope and our y-intercept. In this example, they don't give us either flat out. However, I do know that I can find the slope of this because I know that my slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if I have the points -2, 1 and 3/16, I can go ahead and solve for this by saying x1, y1, x2, y2, and I substitute it into my formula. 16 minus 1 over 3 minus -2. This is exactly what we were just doing in the very last test that we took. Minus a negative we know turns a plus, so that will give me 15 over 5, which is equal to 3. So I know I just solved that my slope is equal to 3. So then, instead of us not knowing our slope, now we do know that it is equal to 3. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this real quick. So please pause this and write this down because it will be erased. All right, so now we know y is equal to 3x plus b. The last thing that we need to solve for now is our y-intercept. Right? And nothing changes from the problem that we just did. We had the points -2, 1 and 3/16. So what we do is we need to pick one of these 2 points. It doesn't matter which one. You choose which one you want. I'm going to choose this -2, 1 just simply because they're smaller numbers. So I'm going to cross out this point. That means I'm only going to focus where this x is -2 and this y is equal to 1. So now if I know an x and a y value and I know my slope, I can substitute it in. 1 is equal to 3 times -2 plus b. Now I have enough information for me to solve for my y-intercept. But if you have 2 points, unlike the question above, where we had 1 point, so we knew the exact one that we needed to substitute in, when we have these 2 points, you just need to pick the one that you're going to substitute in. So I did not pick this 3/16 just because it's larger numbers. And I said I'm going to choose this -2, 1. If you choose 3 and 16, it doesn't matter. It still will give you the same answer. So then we just multiply. 1 is equal to -6 plus b. We will add over the 6. So then we get b is equal to 7. So now that I solved for my b and I solved for my m, I have enough information to write this equation. So our equation, y is equal to, our slope is 3, so 3x, and our b is 7, so plus 7. All right, that is it for this video. And then it's not it for the section because we still have one more video.